Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Our major story tonight: Labor Day celebration turns into a platform for workers to voice their frustrations over critical issues such as salary arrears, poor wages, deplorable roads, skyrocketing fuel prices, rising insecurity and frequent power outages. Workers stress on the necessity for the government to tackle these issues in order to better their living conditions. That is our lone major story tonight. The news in full in a jiffy. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. Labor Day celebration in Bamea saw workers from various sectors expressing concerns over pressing issues such as poor road networks, soaring fuel prices, insecurity, and frequent power cuts. The workers emphasized on the fact that they need more to be done. They need their challenges to be addressed by the government. We have greater details with our Northwest Chief Correspondent, Stella.
In Bamea, capital of Cameroon's conflict-hit Northwest region, this year's Labor Day celebrations reveal more than just parades. They expose the daily struggles of especially informal workers. From bad roads to erratic power supply and rising fare costs, daily survival is growing more difficult.
When one has to move from Metakwata, the route there's pothole everywhere, and that increase the level of consumption where there's bad road. And the price of fuel, we are believing that they should reduce the price of fuel.
Despite a slightly better turnout than previous years, Bamea's streets remained largely deserted on Labor Day. Most businesses and entertainment venues stayed closed, a reminder of the insecurity and tension that persists in the region.
The transport sector, they keep complaining of the deplorable situation of the roads. They complain about the many control checkpoints on the road. They complain about the police harassment on the road, which makes it so difficult for them to carry out their duties smoothly.
The Labor Day celebration at the commercial venue unfolded under the chairman of the governor, who applauded the workers' resilience.
The trade union leaders have raised some of their major concerns that we are going to address at local level. Some of them will be sent to hierarchy, and you should be rest assured that the head of state is committed to the task to make sure, yes, Cameroonian workers work in their working place in peace.
Across the ceremonial ground in Bamea, institutions showcased their services and the resilience of their staff through parades, but beneath the fanfare, the call for meaningful change echoed clearly. As Labor Day fits, the voices of Bamea's informal sector remain, calling for basic services, economic relief, and above all, peace.
Researchers in the Far North region met with Usman Adudi, head of the Regional Center for Scientific Research and Innovation, to highlight challenges hindering their work. Key issues include insecurity, financial constraints, lack of mentorship, and inadequate laboratory facilities and equipment. Innocent has a report on the challenges faced by these researchers. His report.
As workers in Cameroon celebrate Labor Day 2025, in the Far North region, several key researchers gathered at the Regional Center for Scientific Research and Innovation to discuss the challenges they face in carrying out their work.
Au niveau de la production,
that at the level of production, they encounter challenges on the field, financial constraints to deploy themselves, poor internet connection, and lack of collaboration with professional mentors for a productive research work.
et atteindre ces objectifs.
These researchers also disclosed inability to extract certain grains and other agricultural produce from farms, a challenge posed by lack of efficient machines to perform this task.
Nous avons certains grains.
She adds they don't also have an analysis laboratory to ensure home produce are good and fit for consumption, as well as up to national and international standards, lack of partnership and others.
Nos produits soient fiables sur le plan national comme sur le plan international.
One of the researchers stated that their needs are unlimited, but resources are limited, thus pledged on the state to support them.
Les chercheurs essaient toujours de demander à l'État de faire toujours encore des efforts pour améliorer justement les conditions de chercheurs.
Usman Ajodi, head of the Regional Center for Scientific Research and Innovation, observed the plight of the researchers and assured they will be addressed. She as well encouraged young aspiring researchers to demonstrate dynamism and contribute to quality scientific research in the region.
C'est d'être d'abord discipliné.
She advises young aspiring researchers to be disciplined and carry out research works, participate in seminars and conferences in order to boost their skills. That they must not be lazy and wait only on the state to give them information.
Afin d'améliorer ses connaissances et ses compétences.
Speaking on the strike notices of April 7 and 12 by the National Union of Public Sector Researchers, one of the researchers disclosed it was not to cause public disorder, but seek dialogue with authorities on their plight resolution. The trade unionists affirmed that some little fruits have already been harvested as a result of the announced strike.
Psychosociologists and occupational physicians have sounded the alarm on workplace stress. They are urging employers to prioritize creating a comfortable and professional work environment which can help reduce stress and boost productivity. Esedu Siliangu explores their views in this report.
Workers in Cameroon are increasingly encountering challenges that transform what should be a rewarding and fulfilling experience into a source of unhappiness. In most professional settings, stress has become an invisible yet pervasive issue. Work should be more of a pleasure. Once you know that you will receive a salary at the end of the month, you feel economically satisfied. However, if one of these elements is absent, then stress is likely to arise. Dr. Bobda Linda, a work physician, states that the growing phenomenon stems from a combination of factors that contribute to a toxic work environment.
Nous pouvons avoir la charge de travail.
These factors include excessive workload due to poor job descriptions, tight deadlines, and conflicts among colleagues.
Temps de réalisation limite ou court, des conflits entre les collègues.
As a result of these, employees often develop negative thoughts about their abilities and professional aspirations, frequently without even realizing it. Recognizing the warning signs of chronic stress becomes crucial.
Une perte de plaisir.
For instance, a worker may start losing pleasure in completing tasks, become depressed, or experience weight gain.
Une perte ou une prise de poids.
While workplace stress is not classified as an illness in itself, if left unaddressed, it can evolve into serious psychological disorders.
Si la source est identifiée comme étant la rentabilité économique du travail.
This is why psychologists advise workers to ensure everything is within their comfort zone or to approach their employers to improve salaries or work conditions.
Naturellement, les conditions de travail doivent être améliorées.
Experts emphasize that investing in employee well-being is not just a moral obligation, but also a strategic move that can lead to a company's success.
And now to something else. Residents of Chang, including university students, are now relying on generators due to frequent power outages. Students say studies have been affected. Meantime, the regional hospital and next director highlights the life-threatening impact on patients due to their inability to operate essential medical equipment. Mala Glory is the lady on that story.
You will probably think of purchasing a generator in case you want to reside in Chang West region, because this could be a new way of life for those living here. residents, especially students of Entre Campus, a student residential area, express their usual mishap they experience with electricity. Most often the electricity goes on and off such that it damages their household equipment, and in most cases the electricity goes for days. While the continuous blackouts affect their studies, the director of the regional hospital annex in Chang says the frequent power outage endangers the life of patients. The students of the University of Chang says they sometimes have to use bush lamps and candles to study. While Professor Michel Nubu of the Chang Regional Hospital Annex says electricity for them is indispensable because they need it in the laboratory, the mortuary, for surgery and baby incubators. In fact, they are now forced to use generators in order to save lives. The Chang Council has initiated the construction project of a mini hydroelectric dam to remedy the problem of power outage in the town of Chang. Though the authorities complain, the capacity is very low to meet up with the needs of the local population. According to Professor Emile Tangwa, the first deputy mayor, the electricity distribution company has to disconnect the Chang line from the main line distributing electricity in the whole of West region to give them a direct line from the company. And sources reveal that an amount of at least 15 billion francs CFA will be needed to construct this direct line of electricity to Chang.
The International Labour Day in some parts of the Southwest region was commemorated within a context where some workers have not been paid their salaries for the past 14 to 17 months, a challenging reality partly attributed to the security crisis in the region and also the unseriousness of workers. And beyond unpaid salaries in the region request special consideration given the challenging security context. These views were echoed in several divisions of the Southwest region. Femi Armstrong Sanda has the details.
The International Labour Day in Kumba in the Meme division of the Southwest region of Cameroon was commemorated in a context where workers in most council areas in the division have not been paid their salaries for the past 14 to 17 months, according to local administrators.
And we want to call also mayors or whosoever is their entrepreneur to be able to call them table. They should dialogue with them. If there are difficult moments, they should be able to talk with them.
The Meme divisional delegates of Labour and Social Security also decried the unseriousness of some council workers and the phenomenon of child labour in the division.
But there's something I would like us to bear in mind. Councils, they have their salary is too high, and at times it makes it very difficult for councils to pay. They have workers at times that don't help the council, they don't really work. They are in the payroll, they don't really produce, because when you have a worker that's productive, you can always be able to help the employer to pay.
The event in Kumba, however, witnessed a massive participation of workers from across the board. In the Indian Divisional Headquarters of Mundemba, still of the Southwest region of Cameroon, workers from the lay private, the public and the informal sectors converged at the ceremonial ground to review the context of this year's International Labour Day, the welfare of workers in the division and their aspirations.
At the national level, the situation is characterized by insecurity, notably in the English-speaking region and the far north region, in addition to the recurrent mood of swings observed in sectors of education, health, transport, and mining.
Following the review of the Senior Divisional Officer for the Indian Division, Gilbert Gibai-Baldena, the workers of the Indian Division made their voices heard through their representative, Chief Undatu Edwin.
Companies should also ensure that other than following the 8 hours of work, that labor or employee are not discriminated almost on the basis of ethnicity, gender, social condition, etc. And they should be paid competitive wages or salary. In addition to this, each labor as an individual should be valued irrespective of the position or job responsibility.
Worries which were perceived as genuine by some major employers in the division, notably Pamol PSC, through the voice of its general manager, Solomon Tapimbile.
It was an opportunity for them, for the voices of the workers to be heard, where the worker has an opportunity to express themselves. And they did so loudly for all to hear. And I see this day as an opportunity for the employer and the employee to take stock of the status of their relationship in public, in fact, in a public arena.
Besides the traditional march past, speeches and sketches, Labor Day in Mundemba and Indian Division was also characterized by animation.
The Labor Day was in the past a successful day in Indian Division, but this year is exceptional, and it is the reason why I would like to congratulate all and sorry the organizational committee, the employers and the employees.
In Mundemba, like in Kumba in the Meme Division, the turnout was massive compared to what was observed in these areas last year, largely attributed by local inhabitants to the challenging security context in the northwest and southwest English-speaking regions of Cameroon.
A powerful storm swept through Guzang and Batibo in the Momo Division on April 28, 2025, causing enormous destruction in its wake. 2 villages were affected with strong winds, damaging traditional palaces and uprooting sacred trees and also roofs of that area, sparking concerns about the growing frequency of extreme weather events in that region. Bustela has the details.
The storm, described by locals as one of the worst in recent years, battered 2 villages in the Batibo subdivision. On April 28, 2025, the powerful winds, accompanied by heavy rains, struck the traditional palace of Guzang, tore off some of the roofs of stores at the Guzang market, exposing perishable goods to the rain. The incident also damaged several homes, leaving families stranded. In Awing, a similar wind accompanied by heavy rains on April 25, 2025, ripped the rooftop off the local Presbyterian church and severely damaged the community's hall. Further damages were recorded in Bamea, Benjam and Benten quarters in Awing, Santa subdivision, with numerous homes reportedly affected. Many families have been left stranded, with some seeking refuge in makeshift shelters or with neighbors. These incidents had been foreseen by the National Observatory on Climate Change. The storm has once again heightened concerns over the increasing frequency of extreme weather events in the region, raising urgent questions about climate resilience and disaster preparedness.
Northwest Chief Correspondent Bostela reporting there. Away from that, the elections governing body Alleam recently convened its 3rd consultative meeting with stakeholders in the local electoral process in Douala. The meeting aimed to mobilize political parties for peaceful, inclusive and transparent elections ahead of the 2025 polls. This initiative underscores Alleam's commitment to ongoing dialogue, conflict prevention and democratic consolidation in the electoral process. Seri Chakutio tells us more.
Il y a un débat qui court actuellement sur qui peut être candidat et qui ne peut pas.
In a studious yet tense atmosphere, participants representing political parties, civil society and administrative bodies welcomes Alleam's approach while raising numerous concerns regarding the legal environment, the electoral calendar and institutional communication.
Article 80 concerning the electoral list, national electoral list. Till now, there is no consignment, the consensus. Because Alleam said that according to that law, the political party are right to ask to publish the national code, but practically they cannot, because they don't have the possibility to publish. They just now publish within the council, within different council. But you cannot know naturally. Somebody can come and register here and go and register as well. You see, there is no way to control. That is the first problem.
The discussions highlighted the many potential sources of conflict: lack of prior consultation, lack of transparency, misinformation, and political escalation. Everyone agreed that stakeholders in the electoral process must engage collectively from the outset.
It's not normal for a Cameroonian born not to have access to the poll. And we have some young people which are 18 years above. They have to express themselves. Why? Because they are recruited in the National Army, the Army and the Force of Defense. They are fighting to protect the country. Why are they not authorized to elect their president? Is a problem. That's something that can be that is unacceptable. That's a problem. We have some IGPs.
While some speakers pointed to an electoral code deemed obsolete or inadequate, others emphasized the need to propose concrete solutions.
Nous, on propose d'aller, comme ça a été le cas en 2018, de remettre en place le système de mailing. C'est-à-dire que vous avez un SMS, à partir de là, vous envoyez un peu comme à l'office du baccalauréat, on vous envoie votre nom, votre bureau de vote, et vous n'avez pas besoin de vous déplacer.
Among the key proposals, the complete publication of the National Electoral List was an essential demand by political parties. This measure is seen as a guarantee of transparency and credibility and falls to Alleam, which must implement it.
In the same vein, the Vice President of the Electoral Council for the Nous and Kele Division, the Centre Region, convened a meeting with political actors, commission members and civil society representatives. The gathering aimed to discuss reforms and synchronize electoral lists ahead of the upcoming presidential elections in the division. Orlando Patrick Kenfak files in the details.
In view of the reforms and synchronization of electoral lists for upcoming elections in the Nous and Kele Division in the Centre Region, the Vice President of the Electoral Council for this division gathered the leaders of the 10 subdivisions that make up the division, alongside political actors, members of commissions, and representatives of civil societies. This is in accordance to Article 10 of the Electoral Code.
Kele Division to evaluate the work done by our collaborators on the field. We all know that we are doing the revision of the electoral registers, and we wanted to know exactly what kind of obstacles they are facing on the field, how they are working to overcome these obstacles.
The specific objectives were to evaluate conditions and underlying conduct of operations related to the electoral register, which is registration, modification, withdrawal, and electoral card distribution, voter card distribution, rate per council branch, and consolidate per division and per region, the level of enrollment on electoral register per council branch and consolidate per division and per region. Find out how the Joint Commission for the revision of electoral register and distribution of voter card are functioning.
You have to work together for the inclusion, to peaceful the next electoral process.
Find out how the Joint Commission for the revision of electoral register and distribution of voter cards are functioning. This meeting focused on challenges encountered in the field as well as projection for future transparent election, including statistics in Nous and Kele Division registered on the electoral list for the upcoming electoral season in Cameroon.
And in other news, the Chief of the Defense Staff Army Corps, General Rene Claude Menka, has paid a working visit to Buea as part of the high-level mission to evaluate the operational and security situation of the southwest region. The visit comes amid continuous efforts by the Cameroonian Armed Forces to bring back lasting peace in the conflict northwest and southwest regions. Rex Afon reports from Buea.
The visit of the Chief of the Defense Staff in Cameroon, General Rene Claude Menka to Buea, had as objective to assess activities within Ground Task Force No. 1. He presided over a closed-door security briefing attended by top military officials, including Colonel Enyemeka Manuel, commander of the 21st Motorized Infantry Brigade. It is a natural exercise which gives room for symbiosis between the hierarchy in Yaoundé, Douala and the troops we represent. It is a mission which gives the opportunity for the hierarchy to take note of the implementation of the orders it has given to the troops. Also, considering the events that are ahead, notably the International Labour Day, the National Day come May 20th, and more especially the upcoming presidential elections, there is the need for security measures to be tightened within the restive Southwest region. We are on the eve of elections, and it is necessary that all the activities preceding this event take place in a peaceful atmosphere. Also present at the session were Colonel Kola, commander of the Southwest Gendarmerie Legion, and Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Numedem Blanchard, head of the Military Health Sector No. 10. They provided assessments on law enforcement and medical support within the region. General René-Claude Meka, in his concluding remarks, acknowledged the progress made but called for sustained pressure on armed groups. He was accompanied during the visit by Brigadier General Mahamat Ahmed Kotoku, commander of the National Fire Brigade, Brigadier General Elokubi Daniel Njok, director of the Central Coordination at the National Gendarmerie, and Brigadier General Benoit Eba, commander of the 2nd Joint Military Region.
And now to our foreign page. 26 people are reported dead after a truck hit an explosive device in northeast Nigeria, while in Cote d'Ivoire, opposition leaders are calling for a political dialogue to permit a more transparent and peaceful election. A roundup of these stories with our reporter, Mala Glory.
An explosive device in the restive northeast Nigeria has killed at least 26 people. According to reports, the incident occurred as a truck hit an improvised explosive in the area on Monday. Sources say the victims include 16 men, 4 women and 6 children. 3 other passengers were severely wounded and were immediately transported to a nearby hospital for treatment. And elsewhere in Ivory Coast, Laurent Gbagbo, Guillaume Soro and Tidiane Thiam, the main opposition leader, are ineligible to take part in the upcoming elections. A week after the court ordered the removal of PDCI leader Tidiane Thiam from the electoral roll, the political class is increasing its calls for a dialogue. The latest was a message posted on social media by Charles Blade Goude on Monday. On Saturday, April 26, the Central Committee of the PPACI, the party of former President Laurent Gbagbo, affirmed that it will give dialogue a chance before considering a new level in the struggle. The government, however, has not yet considered this option. The 5th phase of the political dialogue ended in March 2022. According to Amadou Coulibaly, the government spokesperson, there is no need for a political dialogue. He says because the country's institutions are all established and functioning, and everyone can refer to them for matters relating to these institutions. He goes further to explain that the elections will be transparent, they will be democratic, they will be peaceful, and they will be legal because they comply with the Constitution. Meantime, the official publication of the electoral list is scheduled to be published on June 20, 2025.
And still out of Cameroon, the African Union's Peace and Security Council has lifted sanctions on Gabon following the August 23 coup. This comes few days to the inauguration of President Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema, which will take place on May 3rd. Meanwhile, in Burkina Faso, thousands rallied in support of Captain Ibrahim Traore's junta in response to comments made by the U.S. military chief of Africa. Siricha Kutio has more.
The African Union announced that sanctions against Gabon had been lifted, reintegrating the Central African country into the bloc. Remember, Gabon was suspended when General Brice Oligui Nguema took power after overthrowing President Alleam in a coup on August 2023. The lifting of sanctions comes just days before Oligui Nguema's inauguration as president. Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger remain suspended by the African Union for failure to revert to civilian rule. The countries are still ruled by juntas that overthrew popularly elected leaders. Elsewhere in Burkina Faso, thousands of people rallied in Burkina Faso's capital Ouagadougou on Wednesday in support of transitional president Captain Ibrahim Traoré. With placards in hand and whistles blowing, they were angry over remarks made by the head of United States military in Africa. Earlier this month, he accused Traoré of using the country's mining resources to benefit the junta instead of the people. Several members of parliament attended the gathering, including Prime Minister Jean-Emmanuel Ouedraogo.
The time has come to never again kneel before the world. May the people of Burkina Faso free themselves once and for all, and may the people of the Sahel free themselves permanently. Let Africans and freedom fighters in the rest of the world stand up, because the fight will go on until victory.
The demonstrators come from across the country in what was the biggest show of support for the junta since Traoré seized power in September 2022 coup.
And that's it for today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for your keen attention. Have a wonderful Labor Day celebration in the company of more programs on Equinoxe Television and, of course, radio. Bye-bye for now.